Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read from Jeremiah chapter 10, Yahuah chapter 10. And the main thing that I'm going to focus on is the very thing that Yahuah tells us that we need not to be doing. And if you're finding yourself doing that which he says you should not be doing, leaders, servants, believers in Yahuah, then that means that you need to turn from your wicked way. For Yahuah says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek his face and turn from their wicked way, then would we hear from the Shemarims. He would forgive our sins as a people, and he would heal our land. We would go home. But many of us love Egypt/Babylon, and that's the reason why we won't give up our idols. Hear the word of Yahuah, OfYaShar'al. Don't act like the people who make horoscopes and try to read their fate and future in the stars. Don't be frightened by predictions such as theirs, for it is all a pack of lies. Their ways are futile and foolish. They cut down a tree and carve an idol. They decorate it with gold and silver and fasten it securely in the place with hammer and nail so that it won't fall over. And there stands like God, their God, like a helpless scarecrow in a garden. It cannot speak, and it must be carried, for it cannot walk. Don't be afraid of such a God, for it can neither harm nor help nor do any good. And that's the reason why I speak out against this pagan Christianity, this pagan JC with his Hebrew names. Because Yahuah tells me not to be afraid to speak out. Let me move down to verse 14 to save time. You can pause the video if you want to finish your reading. Okay. But foolish men, listen, leaders here in our camp. But foolish men without knowledge of Elohim bow their idols before their idols. It is a shameful business that these men are in. Do you hear me, brothers? Foolish men. It is a shameful business that these men are in. It's a shameful business that you're in. For what they make are frauds, GODs without life or power in them. All are worthless, silly. They will be crushed with their maker when their makers perish. But Elohim of Yaakov is not like these foolish idols. He is the creator of all. He is the creator of all. And YaShar'al is his chosen nation. Yahuah Almighty is his name, just in case people didn't understand that. All right, let's move forward and let's listen to these things that exclaim about the stars. And you will be able to correlate the understanding, because Yahuah clearly tells us in Yirmiyahu not to deal with these future stars and horoscopes, and don't even think like these people, don't even act like these people, don't even pick up these people's customs, don't even pick up these people's book. All right.
First of all, the birth sequence is completely astrological. The star in the east is Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, which, on December 24th, aligns with the three brightest stars in Orion's belt. These three bright stars in Orion's belt are called today what they were called in ancient times, the Three Kings. And the Three Kings and the brightest star, Sirius, all point to the place of the sunrise on December 25th. This is why the Three Kings follow the star in the east, in order to locate the sunrise, the birth of the sun. The Virgin Mary is the constellation Virgo, also known as Virgo the Virgin. Virgo in Latin means virgin. The ancient glyph for Virgo is the altered M. This is why Mary, along with other virgin mothers, such as Adonis's mother Myra or Buddha's mother Maya, begin with an M. Virgo is also referred to as the house of bread, and the representation of Virgo is a virgin holding a sheaf of wheat. This house of bread and its symbol of wheat represents August and September, the time of harvest. In turn, Bethlehem, in fact, literally translates to house of bread. Bethlehem is thus a reference to the constellation Virgo, a place in the sky, not on earth. There's another very interesting phenomenon that occurs around December 25th, or the winter solstice. From the summer solstice to the winter solstice, the days become shorter and colder. And from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, the sun appears to move south and get smaller and more scarce. The shortening of the days and the expiration of the crops when approaching the winter solstice symbolize the process of death to the ancients. It was the death of the sun. And by December 22nd, the sun's demise was fully realized. For the sun, having moved south continually for 6 months, makes it to its lowest point in the sky. Here a curious thing occurs. The sun stops moving south, at least perceivably, for 3 days. And during this 3-day pause, the sun resides in the vicinity of the Southern Cross, or Crux, constellation. And after this time, on December 25th, the sun moves 1 degree, this time north, foreshadowing longer days, warmth, and spring. And thus it was said, the sun died on the cross, was dead for 3 days, only to be resurrected or born again. This is why Jesus and numerous other sun gods share the crucifixion, 3-day death, and resurrection concept. It is the sun's transition period before it shifts its direction back into the northern hemisphere, bringing spring and thus salvation. However, they do not celebrate the resurrection of the sun until the spring equinox, or Easter. This is because at the spring equinox, the sun officially overpowers the evil darkness, as daytime thereafter becomes longer in duration than the night, and the revitalizing conditions of spring emerge.
Okay, I hope you get that. I hope you understand about the constellations, about the stars. So let's listen to this one, please.
Unconquered. Now, this was a god who was worshipped in Rome in the early part of the first millennium, and he was a god of one of many gods who was around when Roman Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity. The word Sol, of course, is where we get our word for our sun, which is Sol, and where we get the term solar, as in the solar system. Now, if we now take a look before Christianity
like Saul
came
of
around,
Tarsus,
at
don't
how
it?
pagan religions represented the cycles of the sun, it
Saul
was
of
through
Tarsus.
a solar
Wow,
cross. There it is, with the sun in the center, and the cross is representative of the equinoxes and solstices, the solar cross. And we appear to see this cross used regularly up to this day by Christianity. Of course, the question is, am I really just stretching things here? Am I just placing an interpretation on something that doesn't actually exist? Well, the clincher for me is simply looking at the birth dates. Sol Invictus is given the birth date of the 25th of December. Jesus Christ is given the birth date of the 25th of December. Okay? Now, we know that we don't have an actual birth date for Jesus. It's simply not known. I personally don't believe there ever was an actual Jesus, but nevertheless, we don't, whether that's true or not, we don't have a birth date. So it appears that, the first records of this, I think, were in the 3rd or 4th
And he was once a
century,
Christian.
where a pope declared that date to be the birth date of Jesus. Now, that can't have been a coincidence. So you have Sol Invictus with exactly the same birth date, and you can also look at other pre-Christian deities, sun gods, who again have the birth date of the 25th of December. So what's the significance of this date? Well, the ancients believed this date to be the winter solstice. They were actually out by a couple of days, but nevertheless, this was the date that the ancients picked. Now, what really goes on at the solstice is that the sun is at the lowest point in the sky, and for a couple of days it appears to stand still. And then immediately after this date, the sun starts to gain in strength, and it appears above the horizon at dawn, and each day it rises a little bit further into the sky. So basically, the 25th of December represents the birth or rebirth of the sun. S-U-N, not S-O-N, right? That's the significance of the date, and it's something that ancient people were aware of, which is why you see this date.